DC19 Dream Theater. Soul-touching and life-enhancing stories. The Dream Theater. It was written in the newspaper that another stage performance would soon be happening in the City Theater, owned by Jaco Jacobulus. It was called the Dream Theater. And in the newspapers there was, again like many times before, an open invitation to all artists and performers to become part of the play called Transformation. And everyone with skills and creativity were asked to show up the following week at AM at the theater. The theater inside itself was an incredible piece of art. It was huge, and the painted-like walls were created with balconies and flowers, making it like a Spanish setting, with palm trees, beautiful flower beds, and small streams and waterfalls. Yes, and all that inside the theater. The ceiling was made in a very special way, as if it was the sky itself. Especially when the light was dimmed, an incredible starry sky appeared with stars flickering, and some huge fans created a cool breeze, however, not making too much noise. The most unusual thing was that the stage took almost all the space in the theater, and there was only one chair for the audience. That only chair was for the owner, Jaco Jacobulus. As the actors and performers entered, they were amazed, as most of them had never been there and had seen such a beauty. And they were asked to calm down and to sit down on the stage to hear what Jaco had to say. "Welcome to the Dream Theater," he said. And he went on, "What I would like you to do is to imagine an American Indian camp and where the first immigrants and pioneers made contact with these Indians. I want you to write your own part, your own script, and we later put it all together. Just fantasize, create your individual world and script of this American Indian camp setting." Many actors wrote about being the chief and commanding his people. Many women dreamt of becoming the wife of the chief. Others wrote themselves in the role of being the medicine man or woman of the tribe. Others imagined themselves as hunters and huntresses and warriors, and then others wanted to be the pioneers, the white people, who had come ashore, unprepared for this land, weak from their travels, but with good intentions. The setting was peaceful, because the foreigners had become friends with the Indians. And then there was Mirinda, who created an incredible part for herself as the woman of dance. After having spent several weeks in the theater, writing their own script and repeating their individual acts, the costumes were handed over to them, made by other creative artists, so they could feel more in the part they were planning to play. The theater and stage was perfect. The small river and the teepees were standing all over the place, and even a herd of real horses was brought in. It was as if it was stepping into a real Indian tribe campsite. There was, however, some confusion, for many actors had written similar roles and similar acts. Too many chiefs and too many wives of the chiefs, too many medicine men, too many fur traders, too many of each. Arguments had started to rise, and Jaco immediately sorted it out. "Please stop," he said. He sat down in his chair, from which he had been observing all the actors for weeks that had been creating and performing and testing their own acts. "Please stop this confusion. I will sort it out. Did I not say that in the beginning?" Then they all calmed down, Please take all your places and close your eyes, Jaco said. And at that same time as they did so, the theater lights dimmed, the stage curtains closed, but before they closed completely, Jaco took out of his pockets 2 handfuls of magical stardust, and with a big swing of both hands threw the stardust glittering and sparkling over all those on stage. They all fell in a deep sleep, and when the curtain opened and the lights went on again, something strange had happened. As they all woke up, the Dream Theater had changed into a very modern part of a city, with offices and malls and shops. They all had on different costumes and could not remember what had happened. The scripts they had in their hands, containing the roles, which they had written themselves, they also did not remember. They only remembered that they had come to the Dream Theater and received a script and a role which they had to perform in this special place. Please wake! Jaco clapped in his hands a couple of times. We have to start performing to get the play together. And everybody started reading from their own script. The various actors who had created the role of Sheaf had become business owners, and the huntresses and warriors had become employees. Others had become policemen, and the women who were the wives of the chief were now the wives of the businessman. Those who were to be the medicine men became therapists and dentists and physicians. Miranda had become the theater instructor of dance, and played as well a role in the play Transformation as a dancer herself. As the actors read their script, they became confused and angry, for they did not feel that this was the role they wanted or could perform. They felt it was not written for their character. Jaco was patiently sitting in his chair, waiting for the performance to begin. At least try to perform, he said. But that too didn't happen. All the actors were only complaining to themselves, to others, and even getting into arguments. Some started trading scripts with others, however that didn't work either, for that part was also not good enough. This stage of arguments and confusion went on for weeks. Jaco seemed to have fallen asleep in his chair, for nothing was happening. Miranda, just as the others, had been complaining, and was confused, for she did not feel that this was her role either. For, as the teacher of dance, she did not receive any cooperation from all the other actors, who did not want to dance according to the scripts. As for herself, Miranda had to practice long hours, got sore muscles, and found it even boring, and was confronted with lots of pain. One morning, as she was training for a certain part in her dance performance, Miranda fell. Facing the stage floor, she discovered one little particle of magical stardust Jaco had thrown on stage. She still could not remember exactly what happened, but at the moment she touched the dust, she came to a realization. She looked up at Jaco, who was still sleeping, and she said to herself, "Wait a minute. I came here to perform, to act, and to teach, but instead I'm complaining and I'm not doing my job." She stepped off stage and walked over to Jaco, but before she reached, he had opened his eyes and said, "What, Miranda?" "Jaco, I would like to change my attitude to get my act together. How can I do that with the others just complaining and not performing?" "Oh," said Jaco, "learn to perform just for the sake of performing. Don't compare, don't complain, don't play for them, but just play for me. Were you not hired for that? I will tell you another secret, which most of the others will never believe. Believe it or not, you wrote the script you are reading now, and which you find so hard to perform. After you wrote it, you were sent into a deep sleep and dream, and you have forgotten all about it. Play from now on your role with this understanding. Be satisfied with your script and play it well. This play is called transformation. I let you write your own script, choose your role through which you think to have all your dreams come true. Then I let you forget that you wrote it and transformed the entire theater set to a different time. Why would you do this? Asked Miranda. Jaco said, it is to help you in your life, where almost nobody is content with what they have to do and where they are and who they are. By being discontent, we do not live our lives and are mostly busy with writing new roles and scripts in our minds. However, later in time, we are again not satisfied. It was not easy for Miranda, but every time she thought about Jaco's words, or when she looked at him with his patient smile on his face, she felt the courage inside and continued with her role in life without complaining. Most of the others disappeared from the theater one by one, probably looking for another job, another script, a different role, except for Miranda, who stayed and danced with life, and with every day she was getting better. She could dance with the wind, and at times it looked as if her feet were not even touching the stage anymore. The more she stayed, the more she could sense the love of Jaco, who was pleased that one of his actors was voluntarily playing out their role, without any complaining. Although their love for each other never became physical, their love was deeper than the love we could experience on this earth. There was respect and understanding. Miranda stayed in the Dream Theater, where new actors were coming to play in the following stage performances. Jaco would set the stage, everybody was allowed to write their own script and choose their role, and then Jaco transformed the stage into a different time and setting. Miranda became a real example for many actors, and here and there another one would discover the stardust. Every time somebody picked up a piece of stardust, Jaco Jacobulus smiled, for he knew that he would receive another actor or performer into the theater to play its role with love and understanding. Miranda played many roles in the play that constantly transformed and never complained anymore. Then one day, as Jaco threw his stardust, he threw a special one on Miranda, who he transformed to a magical place where she did not have to perform anymore. The days and world of acting were over for her. She was now enjoying a world of love in total contentment. She had finished, outliving all the roles and scripts she ever wrote, desired and dreamed of. Jaco Jacobulus, sitting in his chair in the Dream Theater, got a smile on his face and continued with the ongoing stage performance called Transformation. What the story could bring us. From the time we are young, we start fantasizing what we would like to have in our life, and even at a certain time. So we start planning for things to happen in the future. In the course of time, we forget many of these wishes that mostly show up then later in life, and similar to the things we have been planning, when that stage comes, most of us are again not content with it. We all come in a stage setting and all have to play roles, possibly a part of our genetic inheritance or memories of our forefathers, or for those who believe in past lives, we come all to play certain roles. Whatever we believe, but we are not content with them. In most cases, however, we have forgotten why we are in a certain situation, and most of us are not content to play the roles we find ourselves in. We can only find peace with ourselves when we completely accept the stage and the roles we have to play now. When this step is not taken, and in parallel we are still planning and fantasizing for the future, we will again not be content. We might want to look back in our life and accept what has happened in order to accept where we are today. When we do not do that, we will not accept where we are now, and the stage and the theater and the show will not even start.